Joined by someone I've been very excited about all year today. It's someone who I can relate to, not through any amount of footballing talent, but just for constantly being told I'm too short. I would also be told that I was too shit, something that you've never been told. It's Darcy Jones from the Swan Districts. Darcy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. Now, this is obviously, I guess, a long time coming. I reckon for about 3-4 months over the off season, there was just once a month I'd have someone come up to me and just talk about you last year, and they would just get into me about, you got to get Darcy Jones on, you got to get Darcy Jones on. Noah Tesfaye was probably the first one. He introduced us last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm a bit busy right now. What do you want? And then Adam Brock just chewed my ear off for about 20 minutes. But here we are. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Adam actually spoke to me about how he was like, oh yeah, I was speaking to Footy Young guy. I was like, I was like, bro, I think I've got you in. So there we go.
Yeah, it was actually all Adam Brock. You'd probably I don't care about any of your testing or performances. It's just because Brocky asked me to get you on. So
100%.
and here we are. So thank you, Brocky. I'm sure you're watching. He's actually probably had way too many shout outs from us doing these things together.
Yeah, mate, every single time.
But as far as we go, this is it for us for this year, because you've decided to have a little romantic getaway instead of rocking up to the finale. So how are you feeling knowing that you won't get a chance to defend your one win?
Yeah, look, I apologise, but I've had a holiday all year, and I think it's about time. So it just happened at a poor time. Didn't realise the grand finale would be while I'd be in Bali. So just unlucky, I guess.
We'll look at a day flight or something. Just like fly back for the day flight.
Yeah, I might just go win pig real quick.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get someone to sponsor the flights and stuff for that. It's actually, this is the third finale. The first two have both been won by Swan Districts players. So the only two representatives will be Elijah and Tommy Smith. Yep. So do you back them in to get the job done and make it 3 from 3 from the Swan? Yeah, genuinely, or are you just giving that to him?
I don't know. Tommy's pretty poor in front of goals. He can take a mark, but he's pretty poor. Yeah. Kicking the goal, but Elijah's got a lot of confidence, but he's not going to be able to back it up.
Yeah, okay. I've got my money on me, but, that's just for obvious reasons. Stop. Now, as far as you go, your actual footy, I want to start with your bottom age year. It was obviously a pretty handy bottom age year. You come in, you get Waffle Colts Team of the Year, you win a flag, not bad. When you're coming in as a bottom age player, and I guess as small as you are, coming up against, these 18-year-olds that are looking to get drafted, what's that like? What's going through your head when you're cracking into your first full season of Waffle Colts?
I think it's pretty important to go into the season with a fair bit of confidence. I think confidence takes you a long way. Do you mean this year or
no? Last year as a bottom major.
Yeah. Obviously, I remember at the start of the year it was pretty daunting. Playing with people and playing against people that are in my position now, who are obviously older and have played Colts and got used to the whole thing for a number of years. So. It's quite scary, but also fun at the same time because, it's obviously a big step up from community, and you learn a lot of new things, and love it.
Yep. Now you obviously had a pretty handy year, and we're going to stay humble here. I'm sure you're always going to stay humble, but did you at all at the end of the season expect to be finding yourself in a team of the year? You've obviously had a pretty handy year, but as a bottom major, did you think that would be happening?
Nah, not at all. Honestly, I came from. I always pinch myself because it's pretty surreal coming from, Kalamata Tigers and then coming all the way to where I'm at now, and just that things I've been able to accomplish, I'm pretty happy, and something I won't be forgetting for a long time, that's for sure.
Yeah, now winning the flag, that's the obvious one to get to here. You play at Optus Stadium. It's such a big occasion. It was stacked teams on both sides. What was that whole occasion like? The days leading into it, I'm sure you've got school and then you're just thinking about this grand final coming up. What's that moment like, stepping out to Optus Stadium to take on probably the biggest game of your career at that point?
Yeah, I do say this all the time. That was, I think I've told you this before as well, it was definitely by far the best day of my life, I'd say. Just so surreal, really. Obviously not playing in a stadium like that at all, ever. Not even been on the ground before. It was just nuts. Like, everyone was in good spirits. Everyone was nervous, excited, ready to go. I remember I don't remember too much about the week leading up to it, but I do remember the training session, our last training session of the year before the grand final, and it was quite good because we didn't normally have like the whole squad training. Like it would be kind of just mainly the players there, and I remember that training. Everyone got around, and everyone made like posters, like printed out massive sheets of like photos of the players, and it was just awesome. And I think that's the secret to a successful team, really, having a good bond and good chemistry between the players. So,
yeah. Now, I know a lot of those boys. I've met a lot of them this year, and they do certainly like to get up and about, and I'm sure the boys are getting up and about. How are the celebrations after a flag, especially one of that calibre? And as a bottom major, you're 17, or maybe, you would have been 17.
Yeah,
do you feel like, I guess you're missing out a bit? I'm sure they were all hitting the town and you were sort of just stuck doing bottom major things.
Yeah, nah. Obviously, it's honestly, I didn't even care that much, to be honest. It's like winning a flag's like fine enough. Like it's just, it's pretty surreal as it is. So it's, I didn't feel I was missing out on too much. So, yeah.
All right, now we'll look at your state footballing career. When did that start? When did you come into, the state footy, the trials, eventually getting into a squad? When did that all start happening for you?
My first state appearance was state 16s. I remember there was like under 12, like state 12s. I think it was 15s. I never really got told about like trying out, when the tryouts were, like kind of how to sign up, all that sort of stuff. So I missed out on all that. I got emailed to come and train for the state 16s, and that was COVID year. So it was about there was so many kids there. It was 'cause I think they knew that we weren't going to get any games in or anything like that. They just wanted to get as many people as possible just to train with everyone and just kind of learn new things. And so state 16s and then 17s and 18s.
Yeah, now 17s was obviously a pretty big one. It was just the 2 or 3 games against South Australia for you guys?
2 games.
Yeah, so how was that, getting to play those 2 games as a bottom major? COVID's finally sort of dissipating and you get to play against another team.
Yeah, for sure. That year I did, so this was last year, I fractured my hip. So it was like a stress fracture, just kind of overuse. I think I started pre-season just a little bit too early and kind of died towards the end of the season. So it was like midway through the season, and I missed out on the first state game, which was quite disappointing because of it. But was lucky enough to play the second game and go all right. So
yeah. Now, as far as this year goes, you obviously had a monumental year last year. You get Waffle Colts Team of the Year, so you've already got pretty high expectations. What were the expectations you'd set upon yourself for, I guess, the quality of footballer you wanted to be this year, and what were you really looking to work on most over the course of the off-season to, improve yourself? I guess it's you might feel like it's tough to improve when you're already in the Team of the Year. How do you try and take that next step further?
Yeah, I think one thing, I spoke to a lot of people on, just about what I should do, how do I take my game to the next level, and how do I compete with bigger boys, really just compete at the next level. And I spoke to Benny Dye, the at the time, state 17s coach, and he said to me, if there's one bit of advice I could give you is try and get a little bit more strength through the legs, like core and all that, and especially around the midfield, because he said I'll be playing a lot of midfield, kind of learning how to compete with the bigger bodies and actually using their size to shift, use their momentum to get them out of the way, just so I can be first to that ball. So I kind of worked on midfield structures, all that sort of stuff, and I did watched a lot of YouTube videos, all that sort of stuff. Spoke to a lot of people on what I should do. Expectations, I think, I definitely met my expectations. I wasn't actually expecting to be where I am now, but I was just trying to do as best I can, really.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we'll cut to the chase regarding this. There's a lot of people who, aren't even close to this level, but they're saying there's concerns around your height, or they make these comments about, he's good, but maybe he won't make it because of his height. And, you've done extremely well to prove them wrong. But growing up and, before you've gotten to this stage, was there any time that really affected, I guess, how you felt about your footy, how you felt about yourself, Did it really get in your headspace to know there were people making these sort of comments about your height, or to feel like you were too undersized to be able to take it to that next level?
Yeah, I think sometimes it gets quite frustrating because you kind of like trying your absolute best just to prove them that it's not a big thing, and you kind of think back to kind of like AFL players in the system now that are like dominating and that are smaller than me. So I think Shea Bolton, he's the same height as me, and he's tearing it up. Same with Caleb Daniel, he's like probably
5 centimetres shorter. Yeah.
Like tiny, and he's tearing up as well. So I guess I kind of just things like that kind of give me hope to just to know and believe that I can possibly make it to the next level. And I guess I was just doing my best and putting in the work to try and change their opinions on height being a factor. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing you mentioned just earlier, and you said when we first did Road to the Draft, that really stuck with me about, sort of playing with your height is how you try and shift other people's momentum, use it against them rather than, I guess, using your own strength to create that momentum.
Yeah.
How did you find like that helped your game? How did you find you went with developing that aspect of your game, and how did you find that translated to, I guess, the higher levels of state footy and league footy compared to Colts?
Yeah, well, when I used to play midfield, I wasn't very physical, and I just relied like completely on my speed and like skills kind of thing, like just to kind of read it and try and dodge the player kind of thing. But now you kind of got to embrace the contact, and it's honestly it makes a massive difference. I really practiced them in the practice matches this year for the state 18s, and I think I learnt and picked up that skill pretty quickly, and it held me in good stead for the 8-inch carnival. So.
Yep. Now, aside from, I guess, your physicality, your athleticism, something else that stands out about you on the field is the lid you wear. It's obviously become quite the fashion statement because everyone's wearing it at Swans. Did you inspire that first and foremost? Because I noticed there's about 4 or 5 blokes wearing one every week.
Yeah, there's a fair few, isn't there? I actually didn't realise how many there are, but no, I don't. I honestly don't know. I don't think so, but I have no answer to that question. I don't think I can answer that. I have no idea what's going on through their brains or what they're thinking. So
they're obviously just trying to look more like their idols. So
that'd be pretty cool to think.
Yeah, you can't blame them.
I doubt it, but
yeah. Well, as far as the lid goes, I feel like a lot of shorter players, especially through junior footy, when everyone else is growing, you tend to get a few concussions or head knocks. I know there was a stage where I was told to probably start wearing a helmet, like it just happens. Is it something that gave you more confidence to, I guess, take on the hard balls? Because you're very good with, getting in and amongst it. Has that provided you more confidence? Do you even realise it's there anymore? Like, how has it at all changed, or is it just sort of like wearing a sweatband? Almost just keeps the hair out of your face and nothing else.
Yeah, 100%. That's all it is. I don't actually notice it at all anymore. It's kind of, I think it'd be a bit weird if I took it off now. I think it's kind of just who I am, and I think I've always kind of been, like for my size, kind of just still trying to get in and under. I didn't think about the contact too much. I kind of just like went at it as hard as I could, and I don't think it really changed much, to be honest. I don't know. It's just something to just another layer of protection, I guess.
Yeah, now I know you're a very humble bloke. You're not much one to try and get the spotlight, but something we saw in the AFLW, one of the players went to Sydney and she got a full Sydney Swans lid, the red and white. Do you reckon we could see something, maybe even just a bit of colour coordination if you get picked up to your AFL club?
I think you can expect that. I think that would look pretty cool, so I think I'll have to sort something out if I'm lucky enough.
All right. Now, something else you've mentioned in other interviews is the influence that your dad had on you and your footy growing up. You said he was a really big influence on you. What was the kind of impact, what were the things he was doing that's really stood out to you now looking back that has helped you with developing your footy?
Yeah, I think not only from dad but mum as well. They both driven into me the importance of like hard work. And if you want to do something, like, it's not going to, it's just, especially AFL, it's not going to come easy, and there's a lot of work you got to put in, especially being a smaller player. You got to be perfect at things just so you can compete. And I think hard work's the main thing they've driven into me. And when I was a kid, I'd constantly be kicking the footy with him, left and right foot, just doing everything. And I pretty much give full credit to mum and dad. So yeah.
Yep. Now, along with them, someone else or a group of people that have also been, I'm sure, very helpful for you, have been your friends. Now, through this, I get a lot of people's friends coming up to me. I meet a lot of players' friends, but yours really stand out. They're extremely supportive of you. You've got a very good hype squad. They love to hype you up. Your friends, all of them, really just love to get around you. How have they influenced you? You know, the people around you that are your age, slightly older, and looking at some of those Swans boys from last year's or other boys who are slightly older and have had that experience of trying to get drafted or successfully getting drafted. How have they helped you with your journey through footy?
Yeah, heaps. They keep me grounded, and I guess they're just kind of someone to talk to. Obviously, they've tried to go or been through the same path as me, and someone I can kind of relate to, and if I ever need help with something's kind of annoying me, or just something I need help with regarding football, they're there to help. So, yeah.
Yep. Now, as far as this year's state champs are concerned, you had a superb state champs. You know, you were in great form leading into it. You broke into it was a very tough midfield, but you really stamped your name to become one of them. How did it feel to, I guess, have a proper champ series, to travel around to, you know, Melbourne, to South Australia, and play all these different states?
Yeah. No, obviously, I've said it a million times. Again, very surreal. Playing against everyone in the country that have the same ambitions and goals as you, and just competing against the best of my age group was just, pretty crazy stuff. And it was awesome. And I think it was quite frustrating at times with the whole COVID situation. So I reckon I would have had it like the night before the Allies game, because I was just constantly sleeping. I felt terrible leading into it. Surprisingly felt all right during the game, and then tested positive the next day, and obviously missed out on the Vic Country game the next week in Geelong, I think it was. So quite frustrating, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with that one.
Yep. Now, as far as your game is concerned through the state champs, did you feel like there was any difference to the role you played based on the team, or based on, I guess, a better quality of opposition? Do you feel like your game changed at all, or do you feel like it just translated so smoothly into state 11, you just got to keep being the exact same player you were?
Yeah, I think I just pretty much transitioned and kept being the same player. I was a lot of coaches and people really emphasising just about me and using my speed, using that as a real weapon and take the game on. And if you see someone coming at you, try and take him on and get around him, and just things like that. Using my strengths, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yep, and obviously the midfields are where the big names are usually within the draft. You would have faced a lot of quality opposition. Who would you say was the toughest bloke you faced this state champs?
I think a lot of people would say this, but it'd have to be Will Ashcroft. He's he's a pretty crazy player. He's just does a lot of things that players don't usually do. Like things I've never really seen before, and it's pretty crazy. And he's done very well this year.
Yeah. Now, from that, what is something you learned, you've taken away from the state champs, from either the footy you played, from watching some of your teammates play, or watching opposition players go about it? What's something you've experienced from the state champs that you've learned and then taken into your own footy in the future?
I guess I think it kind of gave me an idea of what I'm up against, and what I kind of have to do to be at that next level. And it gave me a real good indication of where I have to be. And I think I was quite happy with myself, with how I handled myself and how I went about it, and I think I competed quite well. And all in all, a good championship. So.
Yeah. Now, my personal highlight from the championships, obviously the Vic Metro game, I happened to be in Melbourne that weekend. Yeah. So I went there and, plugging him again, Adam Brock, he was like, yeah, definitely write up a sign for Darcy. So we both I wrote a bit for him, wrote a bit for me. Hop on the tram after the game and, walk onto the tram, and I immediately just get some people looking at me and they ask if I'm from WA, and they just sort of go through the questions. Turns out it was your parents, Elijah Hewitt's parents, Riley Hardiman's parents, who I already knew at that point from bumping into them enough. Some other parents. that was my highlight. What did your parents have to say about me rolling in with the Darcy Jones number 1 on the field, number 1 in our heart sign?
Yeah, they loved it. They honestly didn't stop talking about it. As soon as that happened, they called me and like just explained it, and we're just cracking up. They thought it was hilarious, and it was quite funny.
Yeah, that was probably the highlight of my whole Melbourne trip, bumping into them. Now, one of the natural or main concerns, I guess, about your game, and again, it sort of links to your height, is people are wondering, how's it going to translate against bigger bodies, and often with those sort of concerns with players in an under-18s year, you don't really get to see that until they get drafted. But for you, you got to play some senior footy, you got to play league footy, and fair to say it translated pretty fluently. How did you feel like you went in league? How did you feel about going up to league and taking on, the best players in WA?
Yeah, I came in with a bit of confidence actually. Just from training with them pre-season, I played a couple of scratchies, and I knew the boys quite well, so that was also another reason why I fit in pretty good. They really looked after me, and I don't want to shout out anyone in particular, but because they all helped me a lot. But I remember I was a bit nervous, to be honest, at the training. I think it was a Thursday night training before the game, and I spoke to a few of the boys and about their first time playing a league game, and they kind of just went through it with me, and the main thing they said is confidence. You're in the team for a reason, and kind of use your strengths to help get us over the line. So that's kind of how I was thinking.
Yeah. Now, you obviously played, not entirely midfield as you would be doing in the Colts. You probably played a bit more forward as well. How did you feel about getting more minutes up forward? Did you feel comfortable? Obviously, you did pretty well up forward. You managed to kick a few snags. How did you feel with that more split midfield forward role?
Yeah, no, I was completely open to it. I managed to learn a few things in the forward line, a few sneaky things just to kind of help me out, and I thought I fit in quite well. It was I remember my first couple of games I kind of didn't get much attention just because I'm a first game player, and I'm pretty little, and they probably just kind of thought don't have to worry about him. I managed to have a lot of space, and that kind of gave me a bit of a chance to get the footy and do what I normally do. So.
Yep. Now, obviously, it was a bit different positionally to how you would usually play, but did you feel like when you were up against the bigger bodies, your game changed at all? Did you feel like you were able to, work them off with their momentum as much as you were previously? And I guess, did you feel like you had to change the way you approached trying to get the footy at all?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing with that is again, using your strength. So mine is speed, and agility. So I really made sure if I'm trying to get the footy, don't just stand still and let him kind of manhandle me. I kind of got to run around and sprint to this bit of space to try and get the ball, because that's the only possible way I'm going to get the ball. So that was my main focus.
Yeah. Now, this time last week was the National Combine, and again, you're a very humble bloke. You're not going to say that, you think you're to that level, I'm sure, but did you feel like based off the season you'd had, an excellent season, you've got to admit, did you feel like there was a sort of expectation to get that call up to the National Combine at all?
Yeah, I think so. Again, being a smaller player, you kind of got to show that you have a bit of spark and something that can differentiate yourself with other people. And I feel like leading into it, I kind of had to go well in these testings, and I don't think I definitely surprised myself, and I don't think I could have done much better. So. Yeah, I was very happy with how it went.
I'm sure you couldn't have. We'll get to the results a bit, after this. But in terms of speaking to the clubs, that whole process of you've got, 2 or 3 days where it's just talking to clubs. How did you find that whole process of, I guess, just sitting down with whichever club, trying to have a discussion with them and answer their questions and, try to be, I guess, a bit more professional about the way you speak to these people?
Yeah, I think you learn how to speak to them throughout the year when you're talking to them, and it becomes quite natural, and you kind of treat it as just a normal conversation more towards the end. And they're pretty long days. The first 2 days especially, they were very long days. we're at Marvel Stadium for about 9 hours of the day, and so in between interviews, you're kind of just sitting around on your phone, or people at uni or TAFE studying. You there's a lot of sitting around to do, that's for sure, and that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah. Now we will talk about breaking the record. Now you broke the agility record, smashed it. You finished top for the standing vertical jump. The 20-metre sprint, I believe you were in the top 5. You were right up there. Like, you're absolutely smashing these things. When you break the record for the agility test, you finish. I'm pretty sure they announced right away that it was a new record. How do you feel when you hear that time and, I guess, know that, you're number one?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I remember my first run, I got a no run, and my heart was beating out of my chest. I was so nervous. I was like, I have to get one good run in at least. I thought I was just going to knock it over every time. But shout out to Steely Green. He kind of settled me down, and went from there and did as best as I could. And I knew I got a good score, but I didn't think it would be any kind of record. And the boys are saying that's got to be some kind of record. I was like, no, surely not. And next thing you know, one of the guys comes over and hands me the sheet and told me I broke the record, and it was previously held by Stephen Hill. And pretty surreal moment. Yeah,
when you next got to check your phone, because I saw about 20 different people sharing it on Instagram stories, on Facebook, all that. How many notifications were you getting? How many people were coming out of the woodworks to get around you after that?
Yeah, no, definitely a fair bit. I remember Baseline posted it, and obviously a few people were sharing it, and mate, it was, my phone was, not gonna lie, it was blowing up a fair bit. It was pretty funny, but
Yeah. Now you also got the $100 Puma voucher. What did that get spent on?
Oh, actually, it was 200.
200.
Also, I got 100 for the agility.
Yeah.
And then 100 for the.
All right. What did you splash that on?
We haven't got it yet, so it gets.
Oh, what? So that's just.
So the check gets emailed to you.
Yeah.
I don't check my emails very often. I don't think I need to check, but I think, it's probably been emailed. But so $200 I think to spend at Puma. So.
What do you think you're gonna buy?
I'm getting into my golf, so I'd say I have to buy some golf stuff, I reckon.
Yeah. Do they do that at Puma? I don't know much about golf.
I think there'd be some golf kits. I think there's a fair few like golf polos, like shorts, all that sort of stuff. So I think I might splurge on that a bit.
Fair enough. Now, obviously, you smashed it with your results. It's a bit weird when you think about it that they do the clubs talking before the results rather than after, so clubs can sort of... But were there any more clubs, or was there any extra loving from the clubs and the recruiters after your great performances, in the combine?
Yeah. Just going back to what you said then, I think you are right. I think it would have been better if we just got the testing out the way early, because everyone was just stressing the whole time. You're just constantly thinking about how you're going to go, and if you're going to meet people's expectations, all that sort of stuff. And I think it would have been nice just to get it over and done with, and then that's also another talking point for clubs. But anyway, what was it?
Was there any extra sort of attention from clubs messages from clubs afterwards?
Well, I spoke to a few of them like after we'd finished doing all the testing, like straight after. But that was nothing too crazy. I think I got a couple coming up in the next coming weeks. So yeah. And
there's been it's quite a big complaint I've been hearing from a lot of boys. Some from WA, some from interstate. Apparently the catering was just absolutely god awful there. The food was just apparently horrendous. How much did you actually? I heard it was just like really small serving sizes of everything and just shit.
It was just really fancy. Like we're just like, I don't think they forget who they're feeding. It's kind of like just like 18-year-old boys, just like footy players as well. We're not gonna be we don't care what it's gonna be. Like we just want standard lasagna or something like that. Like no complaints. Like the AFL did really well, and thanks for all that and everything. But I think it was just a bit too fancy and a bit too bougie for us.
It goes to show how nice you are that you're the first person that specifically said no complaints.
Yeah.
Because everyone else I've spoken to, they've gone and complained about that. Usually without me having to ask. It's been big complaints from everyone else about it.
Yeah.
Now, recently, you took out the Swan District's BNF and the Colts. And I say recently, it was last night. You only played 6 games.
Yeah.
Like, how did that feel to manage to sneak that in? I didn't believe the news when I saw it because I didn't think you'd be eligible.
Mate, honestly, I was sitting at the table and I was not expecting it at all. Like, I definitely didn't deserve it. I walked up and, my speech was shocking. I had nothing prepared. And,
I heard my next question was...
Who said that?
I can't say who. I can't say who. But next question, I was asking around people, I was like, is there anything I should know? And one just said, ask him about his BNF speech. It was awful.
God,
so
it was honestly shocking.
All your great performances this year.
Yeah.
What were you trying to talk? Was it just, obviously it was all, off the dome. What were you trying to talk about?
Mate, my brain was in all sorts. I couldn't think. Like, I woke up and I was like, I can't remember exactly what I said. I was like, I think it's fair to say I wasn't expecting this. Honestly, you got nothing. Thanks, guys. And that's it.
That's honestly, good. It's better than just rambling on.
And then I walked down, I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Why did you not, thank someone or anything? And,
now you just look like an arrogant flog. Exactly, just going up there saying, I knew this would happen. Cheers. Won't see you next year.
No, I went and individually thanked everyone else. Individually. So I think that means more. So. Yeah.
Where does that, the medal place, knowing that you're missing out on the road to the draft finale medal, what would have probably had bigger weight for you?
Oh, it's got to be the road to the draft finale.
Yeah. So we'll definitely work on that day pass for getting back here.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, okay. Now, obviously, the year's wrapped up. We're all concluded. What's your big lesson or big takeaway from this year? It's been such a whirlwind year, and it doesn't even have to be, I guess, through football or even through life, just from everything you've done this year, all the hard work you've put in. What's a lesson that you've taken away from this year?
I think the main things, I touched on it earlier, just working hard and just enjoying it. I feel like that is the main thing, and not letting everything get to your head. I feel like just take it one step at a time and treat it like you would when you played footy in early days. I think just literally, obviously do extras, go in the gym. If you need to do extra running, do that sort of stuff. But honestly, just train, play footy, and whatever happens, happens. So, just do all you can, I guess. Yep,
and knowing what you know now, if you were to be able to go back at any point or be able to give yourself any advice from earlier in the year, is there anything you'd change to the way you approach this season?
Not really. I think I was pretty happy with how it went and how I handled everything. Maybe just have a bit more confidence, I'd say. Just speaking to people and media stuff, just don't be so shy. But that kind of just comes with being just kind of moving into this whole situation. I think you kind of learn how to do it pretty quickly. So
probably have a BNF speech prepared.
Probably
those would be the two. Yeah. Now, just final one. I guess knowing now that your junior career is all wrapped up. It's been in the position that you are. I'm sure it's just been an absolute whirlwind and time's flown by. How do you feel looking back, knowing that hopefully, fingers crossed, a month from now, junior career is done, your non-professional career is done, and the real hard work starts? Yeah,
it's honestly just so crazy. You dream about it, and you obviously watch footy as a kid, and it's just, it's nuts. It's growing up, you never would have thought that you'd be in this kind of situation. If I was lucky enough to get drafted, I think I'd appreciate it so much, and I'd make sure I do all I can, really, just to stay in the team.
All right. Well, Darcy, that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll definitely miss you during the finale. I hope you enjoy your little trip to Bali. I hope it's worth it.
Have the win.
Cheers for coming on, mate.
No worries. Thank you.